Okay, everybody, appreciate everyone taking some time today to join this webinar. My name is Daniel. I will be hosting this and doing a little show and tell. Maybe just as a matter of introduction, we are InsCipher, and we've partnered with the Surplus Line Association of Idaho, and they partnered with us to upgrade and enhance their surplus lines tax filing system. So that's the goal of today, is we're going to go over, show you the new system, show you how you can file, some of the features and functionality of it. We'll also have some time for some Q&A at the end. So just as kind of some housekeeping notes, anyone who has joined is automatically muted. There's a lot of people on the call today, so you are automatically muted. If you do have a question during the course of this presentation, there is a chat functionality. So if you click on the chat there, you are able to ask a question. We do have some people who will be answering those live via the chat during the course of this webinar. We will also reserve some time at the end for Q&A. So if you have some questions and you want to address it to the group, or maybe Wendy and Carrie, who are also on this call, if it's more directed to them, you can wait till the end of the demo and we'll have a short Q&A. This shouldn't take too long. We'll probably be here maybe 30 minutes or so. It's pretty straightforward. So again, just if you have questions, make sure that gets going on the chat, or otherwise just hang tight until the end of the demo. So a little bit about InsCipher. We are a surplus lines technology compliance company. We operate several different product lines. For those who are licensed brokers or agencies that are licensed in the state of Utah, we're also the filing system for the state of Utah. I've known Carrie and Wendy for, gosh, going on several years now that we've kind of talked on and off. And just want to say that, I certainly, in speaking to Carrie and Wendy, can attest to their commitment to making the surplus lines filing process a good experience for the users. They care and they want to make sure that everyone is being compliant. Obviously, those who've worked with Carrie and Wendy know that they are very thorough and very good to work with. So one of the reasons that they decided to utilize InsCipher is, one, for security purposes. InsCipher, we employ the latest technology as far as it relates to security. Everything is stored in the cloud. We use all the most up-to-date systems and processes to make sure that your data, everything that's entered into the system, is safe and secure. And so that was one of the main reasons that Idaho wanted to partner with us, is that we've made that a top priority, and we care about the user experience and the data and the security of that. So before we jump into the system here, everyone's seeing this on their screen. Before we jump in, just kind of want to hopefully head off a few questions that may be coming. So obviously, up until this point, you've been using the Surplus Line Association of Idaho, their existing site, to submit your transactions. That site is still live and will be live, so you'll still continue to process those up until September 29th. And starting September 29th, the site is actually going to go dark for a few days, on the 30th, excuse me. So up until the 29th, you'll be using the same system that you have to file. And then starting September 30th, that site will be dark while we do a data migration from everything from the old site into this new system that you're going to see here and that we're going to talk about today. So what that means is that everything that you have done up until that point is going to be migrated over. Now, they've been using that site for some time, so what we've done is any transaction or filings that you processed in the system from January 2010 through September 29th will automatically be imported into this system. So you will still have access to your historical transactions, the documents, everything is going to be in there from January 2010 through September 29th. So as a reminder for those who may be, kind of filing last minute in September, try to get all of your filings through and pushed in by September 29th. And then the new system will go live starting the Monday, October 5th. And so starting Monday, October 5th, you will now be using this InsCipher system to file your transactions there. So a couple of other things on that. Any invoices that Carrie has sent prior to this new system will still need to be paid in the same manner that you've paid them before. So once a month, Carrie's sending those emails with the invoices there. You're still going to pay those to the Surplus Line Association of Idaho in the same manner that you have. Starting October 5th, when you start submitting and importing your transactions into the InsCipher system here for Carrie and Wendy to process, all of those starting October 5th will be paid through this new system here, and we're going to go over and show you how that looks as well. So that's something to keep in mind also. So for those who have existing InsCipher accounts, meaning you have a license in the state of Utah, you're registered with the state of Utah, what we have tried to do for those accounts to help make this a seamless transition as possible, if you have an existing InsCipher account with the state of Utah, we have tried to map that up with your existing Idaho broker license as well. So the goal would be for those who are licensed in both Utah and Idaho, you will have one user, one login credential that you can file and log into this system, and you'll be able to file both your Utah and Idaho transactions under that same user account. So we've had an email go out the last week or so to try to identify those who do have both a Utah and an Idaho broker license, and we're mapping those and merging those together so that you will have one. For those who do have those licenses but have not reached out to us, or we haven't had contact with you to confirm, or those who maybe never got that email or didn't have that process come through, we will be creating your user account for you. So starting October 5th, you'll have an email that will give you the instructions on how you can log into the existing system. If you do want to tie that existing account to another account, it's the same agency, it's the same license, you can reach out to us and we can help you kind of merging the two accounts into one. But the goal is that you'll have one login credential that you can file both your Utah and Idaho transactions. Okay. All right, let's see if I'm missing anything. All right, yeah, so here we go. So this is the site here. So once you log into the system, this obviously looks a little different than what Idaho has currently. We've designed this system to be as user-friendly as possible. We work with a lot of different agencies, in fact, in all 50 states, and so we've kind of taken all the information that we've learned and the feedback that we've got over the years to try to incorporate it into our system to make this not only easy for you, the agent, but easy for the state, for everybody to be compliant and efficient with this. So the first thing that you do when you log into the system, and let me just come back, when you log in for the first time here, you're going to see this kind of welcome screen pop up the first time you logged in. And the one thing we want to emphasize is when you first log into the system, please go to this review profile section. So if you click here, it's going to take you to your profile where you can confirm your username, your email address, the phone number associated with your account. You also have your street address, your mailing address. This is something that does change periodically when a broker leaves or when an agency has a change. I know that Carrie oftentimes is kind of chasing down, trying to get updated contact information. So when you first log into the system, it's important for you, come into this profile section, just make sure all this looks good. If you do make any changes, just go ahead and click that submit button so that everything is up to date and that Carrie and the Surplus Line Association of Idaho will have your most up-to-date contact information so that they can reach out to you. So you come in here, the first thing you see, you're going to see that welcome page. You have the ability to create different users, add a license. I'll go over that in a second, but kind of the bread and butter of the system is, all right, I've got a bunch of filings, I got policies, I need to report these to Idaho. How do I go about doing that? Well, there's really a couple ways you can do it. This tax filing module right here, you can click on this submit filing button, this green button right here from the dashboard. Or at the top right here, you see the same button, submit filing, and this will follow you wherever you go on our site. You can just click this submit filing button, and it is going to take you to this very simple 4-step process to submit your transactions to the state of Idaho. So it's very, very clear, very easy, and one of the cool things about the system is it's going to prompt you to attach certain documents, to input certain information. So there's never a guess as to what needs to be done or what needs to be attached when. The system will guide you through it. Okay, so if you're coming in here and I have a transaction I need to submit, I'm going to pick the state from the drop down. Again, Utah or Idaho are going to be available here, assuming you have a license in Utah. So we'll click Idaho. Transaction type, this is pretty straightforward, whether it's a new or renewal policy or some sort of premium bearing endorsement. So let's say, for example, this is a renewal policy. We have all your information. It's migrated in from the previous system. Now I'm going to renew this policy. It's going to prompt you to type in an expiring policy number. And as you start typing in that number, the system's going to auto-select which policy that this probably is going to be tied to. So depending on what you put in there, You can say, oh, yep, here it is. Here's my expiring policy number. And once you do that, it's going to automatically input the effective dates, the insured information. It's automatically going to tie it to that specific account. We can put in the new policy number right here. We have the policy effective date, which is pretty straightforward. The expiration date, again, very straightforward. The broker receive date, this is an Idaho specific field. So if you hover over this little orange eye, and you can do this at any of these fields throughout the system, it'll give you a brief description of what that is and what needs to be input there for that particular field. So the broker receive date would be when the policy detail, when the broker got that policy, and you can include that date with the transaction. So put that broker receive date in there. We also have this export list. Is this particular policy or this class of business on the export list, yes or no? Depending on what you select there is going to determine which lines of business are available. So let's say it's not on an export list. Is this a multiple insurance company policy? So if this does have multiple carriers, sometimes you see this with Lloyd syndicates or some other policies that come across where you do have multiple carriers, you can just click this yes button right here, and it'll have you break it down percentage-wise by which carrier is on that particular policy. And you can just do that there. It'll prompt you. It'll make sure it adds up to 100%, so you never have an incomplete transaction with that particular field. So moving on, the line of business piece, this is again going to be based on, is it's on the export list coverages or is it not? And this is a free form text field. So, rather than scrolling through these lines of businesses, you can start typing things in, general liability, and it'll automatically filter out and sort those by what you're typing there. I click on that. Is this an exempt commercial purchaser? Yes or no? There's specific rules to that. If we hit yes, you're going to see over here that all of a sudden the system's going to prompt you to upload and complete the exempt commercial purchaser criteria. So we hit no, and that goes away. And this is an important time to reference this document section. So as you're going through, you're putting in the insured information, the effective dates, all this stuff, the system is going to automatically update this on the right side. So one of the sections here that gets updated is this document section. So these are documents that are going to be relevant for this transaction. So some of these you have to actually upload and submit when you're filing. Others, it's just more of a reference for you. So the state stamp wording that needs to go on a contract, you can click this download button and you'll be able to see those show up right here. And again, you can just click these and have these pop up for your information. And it does have a brief description of what that specific document is and what it's intended for. If it's something that's required to be uploaded, you're going to see this upload required text next to that document. Okay. One thing that's new in this system that did not exist in the old system is the ability to track risk purchasing groups. Not everybody has risk purchasing groups, but it is something that is becoming more common in the surplus lines industry. So if you are writing business under an RPG, you can select RPG yes, and you'll be able to track your transactions that are associated with individual risk purchasing groups. So let's say this is your first time doing it, and yeah, I've got a risk purchasing group that I want to put this under. Click this add new button, type in the name, Daniel's Awesome RPG. We hit submit, and now it's going to associate this transaction and any other ones that I select to this particular RPG. The account written as brokerage or direct, this is just really, where are you in the transaction? Are you dealing direct with the consumer, the insured themselves, or are you acting as a broker, meaning a retail agent has sent this to you? That could determine which documents, who's filling out a diligent search. That's kind of what that's for. The premium and fee section is very important. So premium's pretty straightforward. We got our premium right there. The broker fee and carrier fee, we have these separated out because some states tax these differently and view these a little differently. So what is a broker fee? Again, you hover over this I right here, going to give you a description, the total of all fees that are not considered an underwriting or carrier fee. A broker fee, a policy fee, an RPG fee, those types of fees that are not carrier mandated would go in that field right there. Yep. Carrier fee would be those carrier mandated fees. Typically that's your audit fees, your inspection fees, something that the carrier is mandating be passed on, that's where you would input the amount for that field right here. And again, we put the premium, the fees in there, and this is already updated. It's giving us the breakdown of what those fees are, the tax percentages, the taxes, everything looks good. We also have this general notes section. So this is just going to be some general notes that are applicable to the state of Idaho, talking about, various items. Could be, it needs to be submitted within 30 days after the policy or binder is received from the broker. Give some information on, where do you need to put that state stamp wording? Does that need to be on the deck page in the policy? That's what this general notes section is for. So once you've done that, and again, this can be done, we kind of took, 5-10 minutes here, but this can be done very quickly. It's really straightforward. So once you've done that, you just hit this continue to file button, and it's going to take you to step 2, where you enter in the insured information. So this was a renewal policy, and as you recall, we tied it to that original transaction, and that's why it has all auto-populated the insured name, physical address, mailing address, that sort of thing there. If not, you would enter that in manually right there. Once that's done, you hit continue to file, and it will take you to the step 3. Step 3 is where you're going to upload the documents. And again, the cool thing about this is the system's going to tell you which documents you actually do need to upload for this transaction. So it's only going to require the ones that the state requires you to submit at the time of filing. So you either drag and drop from your computer right there, or you just click the button, come up here, and we can attach our policy in there. It gives you the confirmation that it has been attached, it's been uploaded. You get that confirmation right there. Once you have submitted and attached all the required documents, it's going to allow you to submit it. If, let's say for some reason you don't have this document, right? You're filling this out, the carrier hasn't issued the policy to you yet, you can click this Save for Later button, and it will save everything you've done in the system, and then you can come back at a later point in time when you do receive the policy, and you'll just go right to this step, attach the document, and you're good to go. So just something to keep in mind, you're able to save the transactions in here if for some reason you don't have all the completed information or the completed documents ready to go. But we've attached it here, we hit continue. It gives us this nice summary of everything we just did, the information on the policy, information, is it an RPG or not? You have the insured information here. It's going to show you the document that you uploaded. Here's the policy document that you uploaded to the system. And it's also going to tell you which license this is being filed under. So again, kind of coming back to those user accounts and that registration process, most agencies will probably file their premium under one particular license. We call that the default license. Other agencies will have multiple licenses, and maybe they're all just zero premium licenses. So you do have the ability to kind of select which license it's going under if you do have multiple. However, it's going to default to that default license that you have indicated in the system here. You also have the ability to add a note in here. So if this was late, sorry, Carrie, this one is late. You can add a note that is going to be seen by carrier Wendy when they actually process these transactions. And again, you hit submit filing, and then you're done. It's as simple as that. You've now submitted your transaction. It's in the system. It's going to go to Carrie and Wendy for review. And that's how you would go ahead and submit an individual transaction. Really straightforward, a 4-step process like you saw across the top right here. Now, we do have a couple of different ways to submit transactions. What we just went through is a manual submission, kind of a 1-by-1 submission. For those agencies who are high volume, and high volume is probably, dozens, if not hundreds of policies a month in any given state. There are a couple other ways you can submit your transactions into this system without having to do it manually. We're not going to go over those here today, but if you feel you are one of those high volume agencies who wants a more efficient process to submit your transactions, you can contact us and we can walk you through how that looks. There are 2 other different ways to import your transactions on a little more efficient basis. Okay. So that's the submitting the transaction process. Now, inevitably, what's going to happen is you're going to submit a transaction, and Carrie is going to say, you did this wrong. You attached the wrong document. You didn't fill out this field right. And I'm not talking about you. I'm talking about the other person in the office who files the transactions. Definitely not you on the phone, whoever you are. So what's going to happen is when she flags a transaction, so the way this works now, before she would send an email and it would kind of be you'd correspond through email. Now what happens is if Carrie flags a transaction, you're still going to get an email. An email is going to be automatically generated. It's going to come to the user that input that, and it's going to let you know exactly what is incorrect with that particular transaction. In addition, you are also going to have this icon at the top here, this flagged filings icon. So anytime something has been flagged, you're getting the email and you're also seeing it within the system. So if you click this flagged icon, it's going to take you to the pre-filtered list of the transactions that have been flagged by the state. Now, one of the cool things here is you can hover over this flag and it's going to give you the exact text, exactly what is incorrect with it. So is it a wrong effective date? Is it a wrong policy? And if you come into the individual transaction itself, you'll see it's been flagged, the status has been changed to flag, and you'll be able to scroll until you see specifically what has been flagged. So in this instance, the document has been flagged. It says the wrong document, the wrong policy was uploaded. So you can either download, say, okay, what did I actually send here? I can click this button and download it. Or if say, you know what, I know what I did, I'm just going to click upload, and I'm going to re-upload the corrected document. So that way, that gets submitted up there. And then once I have corrected that field, whether it's a document or any other field here, I'm just going to click this submit filing again. Once I've fixed the error, I hit submit, and I can add a comment and just say, oops, my bad, coronavirus. That seems to work for a lot of things these days. Hit submit. And now it's sent back to the state and it's been cleared from your flag, and then Carrie will now review what you've sent to correct it. So again, a really simple process to fix any questions or errors that may come up. You are going to get those automatically generated emails. However, you still will be able to see it here. And that's how you can fix that or correspond with the state through the system itself. Okay. Again, if you have questions on this, you can chat it in the chat bar, or you can wait until the end of the demo and we'll have a brief time for some Q&A. So I'm going to come back to the dashboard here. And another thing to note here on the dashboard is if you do have any flagged filings, they are going to show up in this important section right here, default. So a flagged filing is going to show up here. You can click that button. It'll take you to the pre-filtered list. But it will also show you what we call an unsubmitted transaction, meaning you have a live transaction that does need to be reported to the state, but for whatever reason, you have not completed it. Maybe you didn't attach the document. Maybe you haven't, submitted or filled out all the fields that need to be completed for it to be sent to the state. That's also going to show up here. So again, it is tracking. It's in a save status, meaning, hey, this needs to go to the state, but you have not yet sent it. You're always going to have that reminder right on the dashboard here in that important section. Okay. So that's pretty much it as far as submitting transactions. Endorsements are done the exact same way. So you go right to that submit filing, pick the state, additional premium or return premium, whatever endorsement type it is. It's going to be the exact same process that you just went through, although it's not going to require some of the uploads or some of the documents because the endorsements do not. But that's how you would submit endorsements, the exact same format. So one of the cool things about the new system is the ability to pay your invoices online. So you see right here on the dashboard, we have this invoices module. Also here on the left, you can always, this stays static, so you can always navigate to any of these screens from here as well. You're going to click the invoices module, and it's going to take you to this invoice screen. So the way the invoices are going to be generated is everything that you submit during the month, the following month, so October 1st, well, the real example would be November 1st, you're going to get an invoice posted for everything you submitted to this InsCipher system during the month of October. So that's right, excuse me, everything that's been submitted and approved by the state. So if there's a flag or it hasn't been approved yet, that is not going to show up. Only the actual completed and processed transactions, those will get generated on the invoice at the beginning of the month. And you'll be able to come in here and pay those invoices directly online. Now, this is for those who've worked with Utah, we actually have a new enhancement to this payment system to make it an even easier process. So if this is your first time paying an invoice online, you'll actually go to this payment profiles section. So you'll click edit payment profiles, And this is where it is going to have you enter in your name, the bank name, the account number, the routing number, and you can select, do you want this payment profile available to pay, you know, just the Idaho invoices, both, none, however you want to do that. And that would determine that that payment profile has been saved. And that way, when you come into these invoices, you just select which ones you want to pay. You'll click this green Pay Now button. This screen is going to show up. You'll agree to the payment terms and conditions and hit Submit Payment, and then you've now paid your invoices online. And the process is, and correct me if I'm wrong, Wendy, Carrie, if I step out of line here, but starting with this new system, the requirement is going to be that all invoices are paid electronically? Question mark. Certainly it's going to be highly encouraged to use this system as it is much more convenient and efficient to do so. Maybe at the end, Wendy and Carrie can clarify that. Otherwise, I'm just creating a process because it sounds really cool and it sounds better, but we'll see. So that's how you pay your invoices there. Again, invoices super easy. They come once a month. They're due within the 30 days of when it's posted, and it can all be paid directly through this system here. It will keep the transactional history. You'll be able to see what invoices were paid, when they were paid, etc. Okay, you have the ability to download these as a PDF as well. So if you're like, gosh, you know, I need to give something to my accounting department, I can't just come on and start paying, you can download these. The invoice will be generated in a PDF that you can print out or send to the accounting department. So you do have that ability to do that there. One of the things, so that's the invoices. One of the things I want to talk about real quick is just kind of these user accounts. So again, the account that is being set up for you or that you've created here is going to be for the licensed broker. Now, there are some agencies that will have multiple people file under the same license. We highly encourage, if you do have multiple users or multiple people who are filing, to have them have their own individual login. It's not wise to share logins or share credentials. So if you do have multiple people, you are able to add them as a user. So if this is my account and we've hired a new person to come in and process some of these, I can add that person to my existing account here. I just come to this user screen, click this Add New User button, and this is where I can put in their name, their username, their email, their password, and you create all this. And then you allow them to have access to certain information, meaning I want them to see all the filings. I want them to receive the invoice emails when those are posted, or I don't want to. So we do have some agencies who will create a user and they'll just have them send the invoice emails. They'll create a user ID for the accounting people. So that way they're keyed in on any of those invoice emails that do go out. So you do have the ability to create users, to deactivate users. So if someone leaves your agency, you can come into their account and just make it so it's not active, and that way they won't be able to log in. So that's something to note on the user accounts right there. If at any point in time you have questions about the system or you want further information, we do have this really handy help section. So if you click the help section here, we have some kind of topics that you can go to. Submitting filings, flagged filings, these are some of the more common ones, but you can click the help section. And if you click on these little help scenarios here, it'll take you to a very detailed process, of how to submit a filing, what to do with flagged filings. We also, publish some system enhancements and talk about some of our other integration options here. But just of note, if you do have questions about the system or how to navigate, you can always reach out to us at support@InsCipher.com, or you can come to this help section and this may resolve a lot of the questions that you might have also. So the last thing that I really one of the last things I want to go over is, so with the existing system with Idaho, you're filing your surplus lines transactions in that system, and then you're reporting annually to the Department of Insurance the tax amount that you then pay to the DOI. That process is still the same. And so what I mean by that is you will still report and file all your transactions now through the InsCipher system, but you will do that annual report, that annual payment to the state will still be done through their separate process, which is not included here. However, you can get that information really easily. Right on the dashboard here on the home page, you have the ability to, give me a second here, select date filed accepted, and get this really quick summary of everything that has been done during a calendar year. So let's say it's January 2021. I'm ready to file my annual report and make my payment to the Department of Insurance in Idaho. I'm going to come in here to the InsCipher system. I'm going to filter out by the date filed, accepted, or approved, right? That's the date that it was approved. That's what you're paying on. And I'm going to click Update Summary. And the system now is going to give me a list of all the transactions that are included within that should be there. It's going to give me a breakout of the premium, the taxes, the stamping fee, and the total amount, so that you have this super easy, ready to get when that time does come for you to submit to the Department of Insurance your annual, taxes. You can do that very quickly from here, right on the dashboard. The last couple of things that I'm going to mention is just this announcement section. So at the top of the screen here, there's this announcements icon. Any announcements that the Surplus Line Association of Idaho wants to put on here will show up here. So if that's a tax rule change, a new form, or maybe information on the annual meeting or things like that, they have the ability to publish these announcements, and they'll show up here. You'll also get an email automatically generated coming through when those announcements are published. But you'll also see it here on that announcement section, here, that icon right there. The last thing is just kind of a side note here. You do have the ability with this InsCipher system. One of the value adds that we've put to this system currently is the ability for you to calculate taxes in multiple states. Now, while this is specific to the state of Idaho and Utah, since they are a licensed provider of our platform as well, you can calculate there. But we do have a tax calculator for all 50 states. So if you just wanted to get a calculation, you could come into this tax calculator. You could pick a state from the dropdown, and it will give you that basic information, tax percentages, documents. Now, it will not allow you to do anything else. You can't submit to any other state, none of that, but it will give you a quick, nice little reference of if you want to calculate taxes for other states, because most agencies are licensed in multiple states. So this is a nice little value add that we have here. Should you choose to calculate taxes and you want to use our system to calculate, you definitely have that capability right now to do so here. But again, that's all it is. This is not in any way associated with submitting or processing transactions in those states. So that's pretty much the system. Hopefully you can see, it's a bit of an upgrade from the existing system here. It's very user-friendly, pretty straightforward on how to use. InsCipher, we're very excited to be partnering with Wendy and Carrie and the Surplus Line Association of Idaho. They are amazing to work with, very knowledgeable. We're all very excited about this transition and really look forward to the continued partnership here. And again, we are always here for any technical questions that you may have. support@inscipher.com is the email address. You can also call us. We're here to answer any of those technical questions. Wendy and Carrie certainly can answer any filing specific questions about statutes, things like that. But again, we're glad you could take some time to be with us today and to view this demo, and we'll open it up right now to some Q&A.
Hey, Daniel, there's been a common question, looks like on the thread, and about how do I go about filing my annual report to the Department of Insurance? So I just wanted to open, before we get to the first question, to just answer that right off the bat. So you will be required to continue to file annual reports to the Department of Insurance through the existing platform, which is TriTech. And that would be whether or not you wrote premium, or if you had zero business within a given year, you still have to file that annual report. So nothing has changed from a reporting standpoint when it comes to that annual report to the Department of Insurance. Our system does allow for you to get a quick summary of any business that you wrote in a particular year. So if you go into the dashboard here, you can filter out by Idaho, select the date filed or date accepted filter, and select a particular year, click update, and it will show you a summary of all the premium that you wrote in that year, the taxes that you are due to the department. It'll also give you some other information, just if you want to see a count of the transactions that you've filed, or have been invoiced for. But this information, you'll use the premium and the taxes to go ahead and make your annual report to the department. And so hopefully that helps clarify that piece. And again, the zero reports are still required as well. Okay, we can open it up back up for questions. If anybody has any questions, why don't you go ahead and raise your hand. Or if you feel more comfortable, you can type it into the chat if we haven't answered it already. There's been a few things that have gone in the chat we've responded to. There was a question about the due dates. Due dates are still the same, 30 days from the broker receive date. As far as document requirements, those are unchanged as well. So we're still, the requirements overall are not going to be changing. It's just going to be using the new system. There's a question, can you print off your affidavit once filed? So when you say affidavit, do you mean the submission that you filed, the filing itself? Do you want to print it off? We do have, okay, yes. Okay, so when you do go into the transaction itself, when you get to step 4, there is a print button at the bottom of the page. You can print that off if you want to save that for later. You can see here at the bottom, there's a little print button. What you can do is just save it to a PDF if you wanted to go that route. Some of the filers find that unnecessary because all of the transactions, all the historical transactions are saved in the system and available to you at any time. They're assigned a filing number, so you can search for it by filing number, or if you wanted to go to the filing page and just look by policy number, you can do that as well. We also have a quick link there at the top if you want to just quickly search for a particular filing. Then if we would scroll up to the top there, you can just search for a policy number or a filing number here to get access to that. So hopefully that answered that question. The next one, what if there's a resolve and you can't figure out what the problem is? Maybe you can clarify that question. I'm not sure I understand what that means. When you say resolved, does that mean that there's like a flag? Listed under resolve. Are you talking about like there's an issue from the state that they flag a particular transaction? Okay, something needs to be corrected. Okay, so in this existing in the InsCipher site, the way that this works is the carrier Wendy, if they identify that there is a particular issue with a filing that was submitted, they'll actually flag the particular field that needs to be corrected, and they can even add a note. So it should be very clear when you log in and you go to a particular transaction. You'll obviously see that there's a flag there at the top to let you know that there is a missing transaction, but you can see that the issue here is highlighted with some notes. And so you know exactly which field you need to update and change. And once you change that particular record, you're then able to resubmit that transaction, and that would push it back into a submitted status for to be re-reviewed by carrier Wendy. Does that answer that question? Okay, so I will, the one that raised the hand, just 1 second, looks like we got a quick question first. So we already file in Utah taxes, but under different individual license number for the same account. We submitted the Utah license number by answering your email. Will you be able to link those 2 individual licenses so we have one login? And the answer is yes. So if you've responded already via email or you filled out that form, we will be mapping all of your Idaho broker licenses to your existing InsCipher account. If you have not yet reached out to us or want to do that, if you wanted to have one account to file for both Idaho and Utah where it makes sense for your agency, you can reach out to us if you haven't already. I put my email in the chat below, but let me just type that in again. It's covey@inscipher.com. You can reach out directly to me and I can help guide you through that.
Yeah, all right. And one thing I just want to add to that, just to make sure. So you do have the ability, if you are an agency that has multiple licenses and you file under, the one user account and the rest are 0 licenses, you do have the ability to add or edit licenses under that account by coming to the settings and then clicking licenses edit right here. and this is where you'll see all the licenses that are existingly already tied and existing to your account right now. And it also shows if it's a default license, meaning this is the one that we're going to write the premium under. But if I have a new broker who just joined the team or someone else who I want to put the license in there, I can come to this license section, and at the bottom I can click add another license, and it's going to populate right here where I can put in the license number, the name, the agency name if that's applicable, the date that it's issued, the expiration date, and then hit update. And then that is now going to tie that additional license to this user account. And again, it's going to default reporting the premium under the license that you've selected default. So just be cognizant of that to make sure you're putting it under the appropriate license. And on any individual transaction, if for some reason you need to change that, on step 4, it does give you that drop-down list to change which license you're filing it under.
And just to add one thing to that, so during the migration, we will be migrating all of your existing Idaho licenses into the InsCipher system. So you won't need to do that actually for any of your Idaho licenses now. We will do that for you. But moving forward, after we go live, then you'll have the ability to edit or add additional licenses or change information if you need to make that update here. Okay, so we did have somebody raise their hand. Daniel, you want to take that one?
Yeah, it looks like Yvonne Thomas raised your hand. I'm going to allow you to talk, Yvonne, so I'm going to unmute you. So if you want to go ahead and ask your question now, and then we can go ahead and address it. So here you go. If she's there, let's see. Maybe not. You have to unmute yourself.
We actually already typed our question and we got answered. Thank you.
Perfect. Thank you. Looks like there's one more question from Cindy. I'm going to allow you to talk, Cindy. I'm not sure if we answered it in the chat, but go ahead with your question if not. You have to unmute yourself. I apologize. Go ahead and unmute yourself and then go ahead. Cindy? Looks like maybe that didn't work. So if we didn't get to it, Cindy, go ahead and type your question in the chat there. Any other questions that have come up? Anything you'd like clarified or anything you'd like us to go over more? Happy to do so here on this call. Okay.
Okay, so I see that there are a couple here on the Q&A. One was from, it looks like from Cindy then, is the invoice date the date received by the broker? So I'm not sure if Carrie or Wendy wants to oh, okay, Carrie answered that already. So if you have any questions, there is, it's the same requirements as they are now as far as what is the broker receive date. So I'm not sure if Carrie, you wanted to clarify that even further, or if you guys are, that's already been answered.
We weren't quite sure if the invoice date, if she was referring to her own invoice, but essentially.
Monthly invoice.
Yeah, monthly invoice. The broker receive date is the date the broker receives the policy documents. So once you have those policy documents, you have 30 days to file. So it shouldn't be the effective date. It should be the date the broker receives the documents.
Okay.
Or is she referring to the monthly invoice that we send out capturing that previous month's transaction?
Okay. Hopefully that answered that question for you. And then somebody asked, you know, as far as who do we contact for high volume instructions? So the answer to that is you can reach out to me as well. Again, my email's on the chat line. We probably won't address those questions until after we go live with Idaho. But once we go live, you can reach out to me and I can put you in contact with somebody on our support team that can assist you if you wanted to look at trying to automate that process a bit.
Daniel,
Okay.
could you just review? Oh, sorry, can you hear me?
Yes, go ahead.
Could you go over the annual premium tax filings, just to remind them about the date accepted,
Filing summary.
the filing
That's right.
summary?
Yeah. So again, when you're doing your annual tax summary and payment to the Department of Insurance, the date that you're going to be filtering by is this date filed accepted, or the date approved is another way to put that. The date that Carrie, Wendy, the Surplus Line Association of Idaho accepted and approved that transaction, that is going to be the date that you will choose. That's going to be the field you choose, and then you pick the year. Which year are you going to report? So are you doing the 2020? Say it's January 21, and I need to report my 2020. I'll select 2020 from there and hit Update Summary, and then that's where it's going to pull all of those transactions in that need to be reported and paid on to the Department of Insurance. And that's what this particular field is. Now you can do this a few different ways. There's a couple other fields that you can select, but specifically for the tax payment to the Department of Insurance, you want to make sure it's date filed accepted. Good point. Thanks, Carrie. Okay. Well, appreciate everyone's time today. This has been good. Obviously, if there's questions that come up between now and go live, or even after we go live on October 5th, please feel free to reach out to us, support@InsCipher.com. We're really excited again about this partnership and appreciate Carrie and Wendy, and they really do have the best experience and in mind for the agents. It's their mission to make sure that this is a simple, easy, efficient, and compliant process filing these surplus lines transactions. So appreciate your time today, guys, and look forward to working with you in the future. And thanks again.
And thank you, InsCipher team. It's been a pleasure.
Thanks, Wendy.
All right. Have a good day, everybody. Thank you very much.
Are we